On the morning of November 2, 2007, the quiet hillside town of Perugia, Italy, woke to the kind of news that would ripple far beyond its medieval walls. Because inside a small cottage on Via della Pergola, the body of 21-year-old Meredith Kercher was discovered, half-dressed, covered in blood, her throat slashed, her room showing signs of a violent struggle. And what might have remained a devastating local tragedy quickly became a global storm when suspicion spread to her own roommate, an American exchange student named Amanda Knox, and Knox's new boyfriend, Raffaele Sollecito, whose names would soon dominate headlines across continents. The night before, Meredith had dinner with friends, returned home, and by the next morning her bedroom door was locked, her phone missing, and Amanda Knox, along with Raffaele, claimed they noticed strange signs around the house: blood in the bathroom sink, an open front door, an unflushed toilet, and when Knox tried to reach Meredith and got no response, she called police, though neighbors recall the reaction seeming oddly calm to composed for the horror that would be uncovered minutes later. When officers forced open Meredith's door, they found her beneath a duvet, the scene brutal and chaotic, her wounds suggesting a knife attack. Defensive injuries on her hands, her death a violent assault that prosecutors later argued carried signs of sexual violence. Suspicion turned quickly, almost unnaturally fast, toward Amanda Knox, the 20-year-old from Seattle whose eccentric behavior and inconsistent statements fueled the press frenzy. Knox was photographed kissing Sollecito outside the cottage. She performed cartwheels in a police station. She gave conflicting stories during long, intense interrogations conducted in Italian, a language she barely understood, and under pressure she accused her boss, Patrick Lumumba, of being involved, an accusation later proven false when Lumumba produced an airtight alibi. Still, by then, Knox's credibility was shredded in the eyes of investigators, and Sollecito, quiet but compliant, became entangled by association. Then there was Rudy Guetti, an Ivorian man known in Perugia's nightlife scene whose DNA was found inside Meredith's room, on her body and on her purse, and who fled to Germany shortly after the murder, only to be extradited back to Italy, where he admitted being at the cottage that night, but insisted he did not kill her, claiming he heard Meredith scream while using the bathroom and that an unknown man fled past him as he tried to help. Guetti was convicted in a fast-track trial, his sentence set at 30 years before being reduced to 16, but in the minds of prosecutors his presence did not erase the possibility of Knox and Sollecito's involvement. And they wove a theory of a twisted night fueled by drugs, sexual jealousy, and group violence, a narrative that drew worldwide attention because it seemed to mix youthful recklessness with unimaginable brutality. The media seized on Knox, painting her alternately as an angel and a manipulative femme fatale dubbed Foxy Knoxy, while Meredith's family pleaded for focus on their daughter, whose life as a bright, kind, ambitious student was being overshadowed by the spectacle of Knox's every smirk, word, or gesture being dissected. In 2009, Knox and Sollecito were convicted of murder and sexual violence, sentenced 2 decades in prison. But the case refused to rest. Appeals followed. Evidence was questioned. The handling of DNA samples criticized by international forensic experts. And in 2011, the convictions were overturned. Knox and Sollecito were finally freed after spending for long years behind bars, and Amanda made her return to the United States in a whirlwind of cameras and controversy, right? It was like something out of a movie, but it was all too real. Yet the saga didn't end there. In 2013, Italy's highest court reinstated their convictions, ordering a retrial that tossed both young adults back into a nightmare they thought had finally ended. It's just heartbreaking to think about. Then, in 2015, the Italian Supreme Court finally acquitted them, acknowledging some serious flaws in the investigation. They pointed out the lack of solid evidence linking them to the murder and highlighted how Rudy Guetti's DNA was the central piece of the puzzle. But here's the kicker: the debates still rage on. Some folks are convinced that Knox and Sollicito were involved in ways the courts couldn't pin down, while others see them as victims of a botched investigation and a sensationalist press that just couldn't get enough of their story. And let's not forget about Meredith Kercher, the real victim here. Her family has had to carry their grief quietly, watching the circus unfold around them, while the memory of their daughter was often drowned out by the noise of the media frenzy. To this day, the murder of Meredith Kercher exists in this strange limbo between solved and unresolved. Sure, Rudy Guetti is convicted and Knox and Sollicito are free, but the public remains divided. Every new documentary or article seems to reopen old wounds, making us all wonder if justice was truly served and whether the truth of that fateful night in Perugia will remain forever shrouded in suspicion and contradiction. It's a haunting thought, isn't it? A world beyond her last day.